Next up, we have Rincon Resources over in WA, and joining me today is the CEO, Gary Harvey, to tell you all about the Rincon story. Gary, welcome to the Virtual Gold Conference.
Thanks, Kerry, and hello, everybody. So yes, Rincon Resources, we're a West Australian-focused gold and copper explorer. We have three wonderful projects in Western Australia. There's the disclaimer information for all those people who would like to read that in detail. So we have three projects in Western Australia, spread across the region, all in very prospective areas. Our first and foremost priority project, so to speak, is our South Telfer gold and copper project. This is we have about 500 square kilometres in the Patterson province. Most of you will know that this is a very prospective and very active area of WA. Our tenements are spread across three little areas, but pretty much centred around the Telfer gold mine, which is past production has produced 32 million ounces of gold. We'd love to find something of that calibre, but we're giving it a crack. Our closest area that we're targeting at the moment is Hastings at South Telford. This is 12 kilometres south of the Telfer gold mine, and over and above that we have approximately 50 kilometres of prospective and underexplored Telfer host geology within that project. We've just completed our maiden 5,000 metre RCR drilling program, and we are now awaiting results of that program. Our second project is our Laverton Gold Project. This is centred in the heart of the Laverton Gold District, at 30 square kilometres, covering a piece of stratigraphy which is part of the Mount Margaret Murrin Greenstone Belt. And within that project, we have over 6 kilometres of strike of potential or prospective banded iron formation. We call this BIF stratigraphy. This banded iron formation is known to be associated with gold mineralisation to the north of our project, where there is a suite of open pits called the Gladiator Mining Centre, and our tenements lie directly along strike to the south of that mining centre. We completed 6,400 metres of air core drilling earlier this year. We announced a suite of wide anomalous gold mineralisation on that project, and we'll be looking to continue and follow up some more work on that project later this year or early next year. Our third project is the Kirikara Copper Gold Project. This is an IOCG style mineralisation that we're chasing here. This is package of ground covering 126 square kilometres in the West Arunta origin in Central Australia. And it also covers a very prospective structural zone called the Central Australian Suture. And we're seeing in this area that a lot of companies, including Rio Tinto and IGO, are very active explorers in this area, and we're starting to see a number of discoveries come out of that area as we speak. And we'll be looking to commence field work there probably from March next year. Mainly, it's a logistical balance there in terms of time to get things done, and certainly to get access to that area. Okay, so the South Telfer Gold Copper Project. So we're attempting to explore, well, we are exploring for what we think will be the next copper gold world-class deposit in the Patterson province. We have just completed 5,000 metres of drilling, and we are awaiting those results. The Patterson project is a significant land holding in the tier 1 province of the Patterson area, and we've got several programs planned. We've just completed the analysis of our VTEM survey, and we've got targets that we've identified from that, and there'll be something said about that shortly, but that's certainly going to underpin several phases of exploration over the next 12 months.
Gary,
In addition,
sorry to interrupt you. In terms of the assays coming back, when are you expecting those results out? Are we talking weeks or months?
no, we're talking probably weeks. That's it. 4 weeks is a month, so certainly not multiple months. Look, right. I expect all results to be returned no more than 4 to 6 weeks' time. We've actually got a very good turnaround. We actually send our samples to Victoria. It takes about a week and a half for our samples to get to the lab, and we're finding that we're starting to get some results back, but most results will be returned, I reckon, probably in the next 4 to 5, 6 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Look, just as I said, we've just completed our first maiden program, 5,000 metres. We're planning and getting ready to commence a second 5,000 metre program. This is our phase 2 program, again at Hastings. This will involve another 3,000 metres of RC and 2,000 metres of diamond. And we have some nice targets that we wish to test underneath the Hastings system, including what we've recently identified as an intrusive dolerite sill within the fold hinge environment of these sediments that we're drilling. And we believe that this is potentially the source or is related to Hastings, but hasn't effectively been tested to date. So we're looking forward to that phase 2 drilling. And we hope to commence that probably late October, and that'll take us, we'll be drilling up there probably late into the year. Mineralisation at Hastings extends for, at the moment, over 1 kilometre on 2 separate areas. It's Hastings and Hastings Southeast. Together, it's the Hastings Prospect. Both those little areas are about 300 metres of strike. There's a gap of 400 metres in the middle, and we believe the system connects, and that's what we hope to test with phase 2 drilling, whereas this phase 1 drilling has been mainly centred around Hastings itself. There's an existing oxide deposit there, so to speak, that was previously drilled by Newcrest, and we're looking to infill and extend that, and also collect some material to start our metallurgical test work. So we're very active at Telfer, and we hope to continue to be active in this area over the next 12 months. It is our number 1 project, and it will demand most of our funding. There's some, you can see there on this next page, there's the 2 areas that we're drilling at the moment. The red squares are the 2 areas within the Hastings prospect. You've got Hastings and Hastings Southeast. So 5,000 metres of RC drilling have been done in those 2 red squares. The second phase is going to step out and drill deeper. That'll all be contained inside that blue square. And you can see some of the wonderful grades and intersection widths there on the right-hand side. 57.8 metres at 2.05 grams per tonne, 16 metres at 4.75, 68 at 1.33, and it keeps going on. Certainly economic intersections. They all effectively start from surface. Well, we know the system starts from surface because we've mapped the outcrop gossan of this system. So a lot of the drilling has tested sort of a little bit lower than the surface. So, we'll be focusing on defining this from surface to about 100 metres depth. So we think we're onto something interesting and certainly has the potential to grow into what we think was something significant for Rincon. You can see there, so on this slide, this is the demonstration. We've got a schematic cross-section of where we intend to drill some of these deep holes below Hastings. You can see the red square, I guess, at the top, and the zone of mineralisation that we're currently drilling at Hastings. Below that, we've got 2 deep diamond holes planned to test the anticlinal fold hinge zone, where this dolerite sill is intruded. That's the red arc you can see. That's the top contact of this dolerite. And certainly you can see the anticlinal hinge, which is the grey dotted line coming straight up into Hastings. This is where we believe there's a lot of broken material, brecciated material, and certainly a lot of the fluids would have come up through that anticlinal hinge. And we can see there that there's a couple of deep holes that Newcrest drilled in the past, but they certainly didn't test that direct anticlinal hinge zone. So that's an area that we want to test.
And how deep is that, Gary? How deep is that?
Yeah, look, so the top of that interpreted dolerite fold hinge. Now that dolerite fold hinge has been modelled from geophysics. The top of that is about 300 metres below the surface, so it's certainly not that deep.
And why is that important? In layman's terms, for those people that are not geologists out there, why is that important to hit that and find out what's around it?
Look, we see, typically with the Telfer style of mineralisation, the fold hinge is where when hot fluids come up and they come up through the sedimentary contacts and faults, hot fluids want to rise. Certainly the fold hinge environment where you might get gaps opening up, that's where these fluids want to focus. And it creates a zone of low pressure, and therefore you get mineralisation dropping out, particularly gold. So look, and you see that at Telfer, right? So and you can see that demonstrated at Hastings. Hastings is actually sitting right on top of the fold hinge, and you can see there, there's a curvature to that mineralisation, both with the gold and copper. Now it's on one side of the fold hinge, and not the other side. That's also quite common. It depends on how these rocks have been folded, but certainly with that target at depth, that sediment contact with the dolerite, and the different competency contrasts. So that's the strength between wet rocks and hard rocks. You're going to get fracturing and gaps opening up. So it's a focal point for where these fluids will come through and create a depositional environment.
And that's where you find the gold, ladies and gentlemen.
That's exactly right. And that's where we hope there's plenty more. That there's a bit of a gap between Hastings and the top of that. And you can see there's a big zone that hasn't been tested effectively or at all. So we'll be doing that, and we'll be starting that program by the end of October. This is another area we have at South Telford. This is our western prospect area. This is directly along strike from the Telford gold mine. The boundary on the east-west side there is about 35 kilometres from Telfer. And then there's some drilling that extends into our tenements. And there's an gold anomaly there, historically defined by air core drilling. And that anomaly is represented by gold values that are greater than 0.1 grams per tonne. And that's an area that we intend to follow up drilling over the course of the next 12 months. We've got a soil sampling program planned for that area, it's been delayed, unfortunately, due to access issues. But as soon as we get access in there, we'll complete that program. And we're currently planning for infill and follow-up drilling on that area. So that's another part of our programs for the South Telfer project. All right, so our next project is the Laverton Gold Project. So this is northeast of Kalgoorlie, covers the Mount Margaret Murrin Greenstone Belt. I've previously stated we've got 6 kilometres of prospective banded iron formation running through that package of ground. You can see just to the north side of our tenements, which is the red outline there, we've got the Gladiator Mining Centre. Just to the west is the Apollo Chatterbox Zone mining area. On the right-hand side, you've got the Laverton Mining Centre. And you can see quite clearly that we're surrounded by a multitude of gold mining centres.
Yeah.
This is a very prolific gold producing region. There's been over 25 million ounces produced thus far, probably more than that. And look, it obviously continues to produce gold. So we want to be a part of that story. And we think we've got a potential package of ground here to do that. So earlier this year, we completed some soil sampling. We identified 4 key anomalies initially that we tested with 6,400 metres of air core drilling to test those 4 targets. And the results we received were promising. Not ecstatic, but certainly encouraging, and encouraging enough to warrant further follow-up.
2 minutes left. 2 minutes, Gary.
Yep. So we have widespread gold intersections which were returned. You can see there on my screen. 13 metres at 0.3, 5 at 0.4, and the like. Most of those, some of those, were associated with banded formation, so that's quite promising. And so that's proven to us that banded formation not only exists, but it's mineralised, and we want to continue testing that. We've also completed some mapping, and that mapping has identified an additional 38 potential drill targets for us. And we're in the process of ranking those, prioritising those, and that'll inform us on how we do our follow-up work over the next 12 months. And our final project is the Kirikara Copper-Gold Project. Now, I get really excited about this one. This has got huge potential in my eyes. We've got over 30 kilometres of prospective strike within 126 square kilometres of tenements. It's prospective for orogenic gold and IOCG copper, which is IOCG, for those who don't know, is iron ore copper gold systems. They can be very large systems, just think Olympic Dam.
Wow.
We've got a prospect there called Pakali, which has had some limited drilling historically. You can see there on the right-hand side, they've got a list of intersections previously reported. 32 metres at 0.46 grams copper, 64 metres at 0.39%. It goes on. It's not that deep, and certainly we intend to follow this up. And if we get our ducks lined up, we can be out there hopefully for March next year, drilling some RC and diamond.
Okay, well, we've run out of time, my friend. I'm so sorry. It goes
Keep
fast.
talking.
I know. Listen, we'll get you into the Zoom room in the hour of power at the end of the day, and I'll ask you a couple of questions then. I'm really sorry, Gary. We've run out of time. We've got to do a hard stop. But Kiwirrkurra looks like it's an absolute game changer for your company. Thanks for joining us.
It could be, yes. Thanks, Kerry. Thank you.